I sat in the glass conference room, watching Mr. Blake adjust his tie nervously. After 3 years as his best software developer, I thought this promotion meeting was just a formality. My project had saved TechFlow Solutions over $2 million last quarter. Ruth, you've done excellent work, he began, avoiding my eyes. But we've decided to promote Austin to senior developer instead. Austin. His 22-year-old son who'd graduated 6 months ago with average grades. Austin, who asked me to explain basic coding concepts weekly. Austin, who spent more time on social media than actual work. I don't understand, I said quietly. My performance reviews are perfect. My projects exceed expectations. Mr. Blake shifted uncomfortably. Sometimes family comes first, Ruth. Austin needs this opportunity to grow. The words hit me like a punch. 3 years of staying late, fixing mistakes, building systems. All worthless because I wasn't his blood. I smiled politely and nodded, but inside, something hardened. If you like our revenge stories, please subscribe for more. We drop powerful news stories every week, filled with truth, emotion, and justice. Don't miss the next one. And remember, some stories hurt, but they heal too. Subscribe now and join the journey. Austin Blake strutted into the office Monday morning wearing a new suit and an insufferable grin. He'd already changed his LinkedIn title to senior developer and posted about his well-deserved promotion. "Morning, Ruth," he called out cheerfully. "Ready to work under the new leadership?" Under him. The thought made my stomach turn. I watched him fumble through his first senior-level meeting, nodding along to concepts he clearly didn't grasp. When clients asked technical questions, he glanced at me desperately. I kept my expression neutral, offering no help. "Ruth will handle the implementation details," he announced confidently, passing the work to me like he always did. After the meeting, Mr. Blake pulled me aside. "I know this transition is tough, but I need you to support Austin. Help him succeed." "Of course," I replied sweetly. "I'll give him exactly what he deserves." Mr. Blake smiled, completely missing the edge in my voice. If you like our revenge stories, please subscribe for more. We drop powerful news stories every week, filled with truth, emotion, and justice. Don't miss the next one. And remember, some stories hurt, but they heal too. Subscribe now and join the journey. That evening, I sat in my apartment reviewing everything I knew about TechFlow systems. As the primary developer for 3 years, I'd built most of their core infrastructure. Database management, security protocols, backup systems, my fingerprints were on everything. More importantly, I knew their weaknesses. The company's success relied heavily on the client management system I'd created. Without it, they couldn't track projects, bill clients, or maintain their reputation for efficiency. It was my masterpiece, and only I fully understood how it worked. I opened my laptop and began documenting every flaw, every shortcut, every potential failure point in the system. Not to fix them, to understand exactly what would happen if they weren't properly maintained. Knowledge was power, and I was about to become very powerful. My phone buzzed with a text from my friend Mia. "How was your first day working for the Golden Boy?" I typed back, "Educational." Austin's first week as my supervisor was a disaster. He assigned tasks he didn't understand, set impossible deadlines, and took credit for solutions I provided. Worst of all, he started making changes to my systems without consulting me. "I'm modernizing our approach," he announced during Thursday's team meeting. "Some of these old methods need updating." Old methods? My cutting-edge security framework was apparently outdated, according to someone who'd learned to code 18 months ago. I watched him delete critical backup protocols, claiming they were redundant. I said nothing as he removed safety checks I'd built into the database. When he asked why certain files were wasting space, I simply shrugged. "You're the senior developer now," I said innocently. "I'm sure you know what you're doing." By Friday, small errors were appearing in client reports. Nothing major yet, but I could see the cracks forming. Austin blamed the old system's instability and promised to fix it soon. I smiled and offered to help whenever he needed it. While organizing my desk that weekend, I accidentally knocked over a stack of Austin's papers. As I gathered them up, one document caught my eye. His college transcripts. I shouldn't have looked, but curiosity won. The grades were worse than I'd imagined. D's in programming fundamentals, C's in database management, and an F in system security that he'd barely made up with extra credit. But the real shock was a note stapled to the back. A disciplinary report for academic dishonesty. Austin had been caught submitting purchase code assignments 3 separate times. My hands trembled as I photographed the documents with my phone. This wasn't just nepotism. It was promoting a cheater to oversee honest employees' work. I carefully replaced the papers exactly as I'd found them. Austin would never know I'd seen his shameful secret. But I would never forget it. Monday brought our first official complaint. Harrison Industries, our biggest client, reported discrepancies in their billing system. Numbers weren't adding up, project timelines were wrong, and invoices contained mysterious charges. Austin panicked during the emergency meeting, sweat beading on his forehead as angry voices crackled through the conference phone. "We'll investigate immediately," Mr. Blake promised the client. "Our senior developer will personally oversee the resolution." All eyes turned to Austin, who looked like he might vomit. "Of course," he stammered. "I'll get right on it." After the call, he cornered me desperately. "Ruth, I need your help. Something's wrong with the billing system." "What kind of wrong?" I asked, examining the error reports with fake concern. "I don't know. Numbers are off, dates are mixed up. Can you fix it?" I pretended to study the data. "These errors stem from the security protocols you modified last week. The changes disrupted the database synchronization." His face went pale. "Can you undo it?" "I can try," I said doubtfully. "But it might take weeks to rebuild what was lost." More problems surfaced daily. The payroll system miscalculated overtime hours. Project deadlines disappeared from the scheduling software. Client contact information randomly corrupted, leaving the sales team scrambling to reconnect with prospects. Austin grew increasingly frantic, staying late and demanding I fix each crisis immediately. But every solution I provided seemed to create 2 new problems. "Why is everything breaking?" he asked during our 5th emergency meeting of the week. "System instability," I explained patiently. "When you modify core infrastructure without understanding the connections, cascade failures are inevitable." Mr. Blake looked confused. "But Ruth, you built these systems. Can't you stabilize them?" "I'm trying," I said, injecting just the right amount of stress into my voice. But some of Austin's modifications created conflicts I've never seen before. It's like trying to rebuild a house while people are living in it. Austin shot me a desperate look. He knew he was drowning, but pride prevented him from admitting his mistakes publicly. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Mr. Blake hired an external IT consultant to investigate our system failures. Janet Walsh from Secure Solutions arrived Tuesday morning with her laptop and a no-nonsense attitude. "I'll need access to all system logs and modification records," she announced. "Someone's either very unlucky or very careless." Austin's hand shook as he provided his administrator credentials. I watched him nervously explain his improvements, while Janet's eyebrows rose higher with each revelation. "You removed the backup verification protocols?" she asked incredulously. "They seemed redundant," Austin mumbled. "And you deleted the error-catching subroutines?" "I was streamlining the code." Janet turned to me. "Ruth, as the original developer, what's your assessment?" I chose my words carefully. Austin was trying to modernize the system. Unfortunately, some critical dependencies weren't fully understood before implementation. The diplomatic response protected me while highlighting Austin's incompetence. Janet nodded grimly and continued her investigation. Janet's preliminary report landed on Mr. Blake's desk Thursday morning. I wasn't officially included in the meeting, but thin office walls carried voices clearly. "The system failures are entirely preventable," Janet's voice was firm. "Someone removed essential safeguards without understanding their purpose." "Are you saying this was intentional sabotage?" Mr. Blake asked. "No. I'm saying it was reckless modification by someone lacking fundamental knowledge of system architecture." A long pause. Then Austin's voice barely audible. "I was just trying to improve things." "Improvement requires understanding," Janet replied sharply. "This is like removing support beams from a building because you think they're ugly." I smiled to myself, typing away at my computer. Janet was thorough, professional, and completely unaware that I'd been subtly guiding the system's decline for weeks. The best part? Everything she'd found was technically Austin's fault. I'd simply stopped preventing his natural destructiveness. Friday's presentation to our 3 biggest clients was supposed to showcase our modernized systems. Instead, it became a public humiliation that would haunt TechFlow for months. Austin stood at the head of the conference room, clicking through slides while trying to explain improvements he didn't understand. When Harrison Industries CEO asked about data security enhancements, Austin fumbled through buzzwords without saying anything meaningful. "Could you show us the actual performance metrics?" asked Claire Hamilton from Metro Logistics. Austin clicked to the dashboard I'd prepared. Instead of impressive numbers, error messages filled the screen. "System unavailable," blinked in red letters across multiple charts. "Technical difficulties," Austin laughed nervously, frantically clicking refresh. "This is exactly what we're worried about," Harrison's CEO said coldly. "System instability is costing us money." Mr. Blake jumped in trying to salvage the meeting, but the damage was done. 2 clients explicitly mentioned considering other vendors. The third asked pointed questions about our leadership transition. I sat quietly in the corner, taking notes like a dutiful employee. Austin cornered me after the disastrous client meeting, his professional facade finally cracking. "Ruth, I'm drowning here. Everything's falling apart, and Dad's blaming me for losing clients." For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. He looked genuinely scared, like a little boy who'd broken something precious. "What do you want me to do?" I asked. "Fix it, please. I'll give you credit, I'll recommend you for a raise, whatever you want. Just make the systems work again." I pretended to consider his offer. "Austin, the problems aren't just technical anymore. Your modifications created fundamental architecture issues. Even if I work around the clock, it could take months to rebuild properly." "Months?" His voice cracked. "We don't have months. Harrison Industries is threatening to leave." "Then maybe," I said carefully, "you should consider stepping down. Let someone with more experience handle the crisis." His face flushed red. "Are you saying I should quit?" "I'm saying the company needs someone who can actually fix this mess." Instead of stepping down, Austin made everything worse. He hired a freelance developer from overseas, promising quick fixes for cheap prices. When that failed spectacularly, he tried installing commercial software to replace my custom systems. The new software was incompatible with our existing databases. Client information vanished overnight. 3 years of project history disappeared into digital limbo. Billing records became corrupted beyond recognition. "What happened?" Mr. Blake demanded during Monday's emergency meeting. "The new software integration encountered unexpected conflicts," Austin explained weakly. Janet Walsh shook her head in disbelief. "You replaced a custom system with generic software, without migration planning? That's like replacing a heart with a bicycle tire." I bit my lip to hide my smile. Austin's panic was creating chaos faster than I ever could have alone. He was destroying his father's company through pure incompetence, and everyone could see it happening. "Can we recover the lost data?" Mr. Blake asked desperately. "Some of it," I said slowly, "but it'll require rebuilding the entire system from scratch." That night, I sat in my apartment preparing for the moment I'd been planning for weeks. On my laptop screen were 3 folders: Evidence, Backup Systems, and Nuclear Option. The Evidence folder contained screenshots of Austin's disastrous modifications, his academic dishonesty records, and a detailed timeline of every system failure since his promotion. Everything documented, time-stamped, and professionally presented. The Backup Systems folder held clean copies of all the databases Austin had corrupted. I'd been secretly maintaining parallel systems, watching his destruction while protecting the actual data. With a few keystrokes, I could restore everything to perfect working order. But the Nuclear Option was my masterpiece. A single file that would expose not just Austin's incompetence, but the entire nepotism culture that had put him in charge. Email chains between father and son discussing my management, clients complaining about service quality, and financial projections showing how much money his promotion had cost the company. I'd spent 3 years building TechFlow's systems. Now I would use that knowledge to rebuild its leadership. Tomorrow everything would change. Friday morning brought another crisis. Our automated backup system, one of Austin's early improvements, had been failing for weeks without anyone noticing. When the main server crashed Thursday night, we discovered there were no recent backups to restore from. How is this possible? Mr. Blake shouted during the emergency meeting. Ruth, you built redundant systems. I did, I confirmed calmly. But Austin modified the backup protocols 2 weeks ago. He said manual saves were more efficient than automated ones. All eyes turned to Austin, who was rapidly turning the color of old paper. I thought the daily backups were excessive. Excessive. Janet Walsh looked like she might throw her laptop at him. Backups are like insurance. You hope you never need them, but when you do, they save everything. Can we recover anything? Asked Mr. Blake desperately. I paused dramatically as if checking something on my computer. There might be something. I maintain some personal archives of critical files. It's not official policy, but... Whatever you have, use it, Mr. Blake ordered. I nodded seriously. I'll see what I can do. While I pretended to work on data recovery, the office buzzed with panic. Phones rang constantly as clients demanded updates on their projects. Austin hid in his office, claiming to coordinate the recovery effort while actually scrolling through job listings. Mr. Blake paced the hallways, fielding angry calls from Harrison Industries and Metro Logistics. Both companies were threatening immediate contract cancellation, unless their data was restored by Monday. We could lose everything, I heard him tell his secretary. 20 years building this company, and it's falling apart in weeks. That afternoon, Austin appeared at my desk looking desperate. Ruth, please tell me you found something in those backup files. I'm working on it, I said, not looking up from my screen. But Austin, even if I recover the data, the underlying system problems remain. Your modifications created vulnerabilities that go beyond simple file corruption. What do you mean? I turned to face him, my expression serious. The security frameworks you removed weren't just about backups. They protected against data breaches, unauthorized access, and system intrusions. Without them, we're vulnerable to hackers, identity theft, and corporate espionage. His face went white. Are you saying someone could steal our client information? I'm saying they probably already have. Monday morning brought news that shattered what remained of Austin's confidence. Harrison Industries' IT department had detected suspicious activity in their systems, activity traced back to TechFlow's compromised databases. We're facing a potential lawsuit, Mr. Blake announced grimly. Harrison claims our security failures exposed their confidential information to hackers. Austin sat slumped in his chair, looking like a deflated balloon. What do we do? We fix this immediately, Mr. Blake snapped. Ruth, I need a full security audit and system rebuild. Whatever it takes. I stood up slowly, my expression carefully neutral. Mr. Blake, I need to be completely honest with you about something. The room fell silent. Austin looked up at me with growing dread. I've been maintaining backup systems on my personal servers, I continued. Clean databases, security protocols, everything we need to rebuild properly. I wanted to make sure we had options if the main systems failed. You have working backups? Mr. Blake asked incredulously. Complete ones. But there's something else you need to know. I pulled out my tablet, loaded with screenshots and documents. The problems weren't random system failures. I connected my tablet to the conference room projector, displaying Austin's academic transcripts for everyone to see. The room gasped as they read the failing grades and academic dishonesty reports. Your son was promoted to senior developer despite having no real programming skills, I said calmly. Every major system failure can be traced to modifications he made without understanding the consequences. Mr. Blake stared at the screen in shock. Austin, is this true? I was learning on the job, Austin stammered. Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes. I clicked to the next slide, showing a timeline of his destructive changes. You remove security protocols, deleted backup systems, and installed incompatible software. These weren't mistakes. They were disasters waiting to happen. Janet Walsh leaned forward, studying the documentation. This level of systematic destruction goes beyond incompetence. It's almost like sabotage. It wasn't sabotage, I said firmly. It was nepotism, promoting someone unqualified because of family connections instead of merit. The room erupted in uncomfortable murmurs. Mr. Blake looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. There's more, I continued, clicking through additional slides. Email conversations where Austin asks me to complete his work, client complaints about service quality since the promotion, and financial projections showing how much money the company has lost. Each slide built a stronger case against Austin's leadership. The evidence was overwhelming, professional, and completely damning. I also have recordings of our conversations where Austin admits he doesn't understand the systems he's modifying. I added, playing a brief audio clip of him asking me to explain basic programming concepts. Reversible, but only if changes are made immediately, I replied. I can restore all the data and rebuild the security systems, but it requires someone with actual expertise to oversee the process. Austin finally found his voice. Ruth, you can't just. I can, I interrupted firmly. I built these systems, I documented everything, and I protected the company when leadership failed. The question is whether you want to fix this mess or continue pretending incompetence is leadership. The room fell silent as everyone processed the complete destruction of Austin's credibility. Austin was suspended pending a full investigation. Mr. Blake, facing potential lawsuits and furious clients, had no choice but to act decisively. Ruth, I'm promoting you to Chief Technology Officer, he announced that afternoon. Whatever you need, budget, staff, authority, it's yours. I nodded professionally, hiding my satisfaction. I'll need complete system access and the authority to reverse all unauthorized modifications. Done. And I'll need a public acknowledgement that the recent problems were caused by unqualified leadership, not system design flaws. Mr. Blake winced but agreed. I'll draft a statement for our clients. Within hours, I began restoring the backup systems I'd maintained throughout Austin's reign of chaos. Data reappeared, security protocols activated, and normal operations resumed like magic. How did you fix everything so quickly? Janet Walsh asked, genuinely impressed. I never let it break completely, I replied. I just stopped preventing someone else from breaking it. She stared at me for a long moment, then smiled. Brilliant. By end of business, Harrison Industries had agreed to delay their contract cancellation, pending a full security review. News of Austin's suspension spread through the office like wildfire. Employees who'd watched him fumble for weeks finally felt free to share their own stories of his incompetence. He asked me to explain what HTML stands for, confessed Jamie from web development. He tried to convince a client that server maintenance was a new type of software, added Marcus from sales. He told me that cybersecurity was just fancy password protection, said Kelly from IT support. Each revelation painted a clearer picture of Austin's fundamental ignorance. Mr. Blake listened to the stories with growing horror, realizing how completely he'd been fooled by his son's confident facade. I should have seen this, he told me privately. I wanted to help Austin succeed, but I endangered the whole company. Family loyalty is admirable, I replied diplomatically, but business requires competence. He nodded sadly. I've learned that lesson the hard way. That evening, Austin cleared out his office while avoiding eye contact with former colleagues. His brief reign as senior developer was over, leaving only damaged systems and broken trust. The following week, I presented a comprehensive recovery plan to our major clients. Armed with restored data, enhanced security protocols, and detailed explanations of the problem's causes, I faced their questions confidently. So these failures were caused by management decisions, not system design? Asked Harrison Industries CEO. Correct. Unqualified modifications to stable systems created cascade failures. The original architecture was sound. And you've restored everything? Everything, plus additional safeguards to prevent similar problems in the future. Claire Hamilton from Metro Logistics leaned forward. What assurance do we have that this won't happen again? New leadership protocols require technical competency verification before anyone can modify core systems, I explained. No more family favors over professional qualifications. The clients exchanged glances, then Harrison's CEO spoke. Based on this presentation and the rapid recovery, we'll honor our existing contract. But we want Ruth as our primary technical contact. Agreed, said Mr. Blake immediately. All 3 major clients renewed their contracts that day. TechFlow was saved. Word spread quickly through the tech industry about TechFlow's dramatic recovery. Trade publications wanted interviews about crisis leadership and system resilience under pressure. You've become something of a legend, Janet Walsh told me over coffee. Saving a company from technical disaster in 2 weeks? That's headline material. I smiled modestly. I just did my job. Your job was supposed to be junior developer under an incompetent supervisor. Instead, you documented everything, maintained secret backups, and orchestrated the most professional takedown I've ever witnessed. The recognition felt good, but the real satisfaction came from proving that competence mattered more than connections. Technical skills couldn't be inherited or faked, they had to be earned. Several competing companies reached out with job offers, trying to recruit the miracle worker who'd saved TechFlow. I politely declined each one. I had work to finish here. Austin requested a private meeting 2 weeks after his suspension. We met at a coffee shop downtown, away from the office where he'd once been my supervisor. I owe you an apology, he began quietly. Not just for the technical problems, but for how I treated you. I studied his face, looking for signs of genuine remorse. What specifically are you apologizing for? For thinking I deserved your job because of who my father is. For taking credit for your work. For dismissing your expertise because I was too proud to admit I didn't understand it. His words sounded sincere, but actions mattered more than apologies. What are you going to do now? I asked. Go back to school. Actually learn programming properly this time without cheating. He managed a weak smile. Maybe in a few years, I'll be qualified to work as your junior developer. Maybe, I agreed. If you earn it. We shook hands before parting ways. I didn't forgive him completely, but I respected his willingness to acknowledge his failures. 6 months later, TechFlow had transformed into everything I'd always wanted it to be. Promotions were based on performance reviews and technical demonstrations, not family relationships. New hires underwent rigorous competency testing before joining teams. Mr. Blake had stepped back from daily operations, allowing me to build a true meritocracy. I learned my lesson about mixing family with business, he told me during our quarterly review. Good leaders adapt, I replied diplomatically. The company thrived under competency-based leadership. We landed 3 new major clients, all drawn by our reputation for technical excellence and reliable systems. Employee satisfaction surveys showed dramatic improvements in morale and job security. Most importantly, I'd proven that quiet competence could triumph over loud incompetence. Technical skills, careful planning, and professional documentation were more powerful than family connections or political maneuvering. My story spread through professional networks as an example of how to handle workplace nepotism constructively. Instead of quitting or complaining, I'd documented everything and let the evidence speak for itself. Today, I sit in my corner office with the title Chief Technology Officer on my door and the respect of every employee in the building. The systems I built run smoothly, protecting client data and generating consistent profits. Austin occasionally emails updates about his computer science courses. His grades are improving, and he seems genuinely committed to learning properly this time. I respond politely but maintain professional distance. The real victory wasn't destroying his career. It was building my own on a foundation of genuine competence. Every day, I prove that technical expertise and careful planning create more lasting success than family connections or office politics. When young developers ask for career advice, I tell them the same thing. Document everything, build redundancies, and never let someone else's incompetence reflect on your work quality. The file I sent didn't just erase Austin's authority, it established mine. Not through destruction but through construction. By building backup systems and maintaining professional standards, I'd created the foundation for lasting change. Sometimes the best revenge is simply being undeniably excellent at your job when others fail at theirs. Excellence speaks louder than anger, and competence lasts longer than revenge. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more powerful narratives, and share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what part hit you the hardest. Thanks for watching.